Okay, we're here today with Norman Batch. And like I said, we kind of want to start on a chronological order. So if you want to tell us about the date you were born, where, and about your parents.
I was born in Mercy Hospital in 1925
Okay.
to Virgil and Carrie Batch,
What city was that in?
Muskegon.
Okay. And then did you continue to live in Muskegon and grow up there?
No, I did not grow there. I went there 2 grades at Marquette School.
Mm-hmm.
And then my folks moved to a farm in Cloverville. And I can't remember the exact year it was. I think I was either 8 or 9 years old. I can't remember for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I was 8 years old. And went to a one-room school, Cloverville School they called it,
Mm-hmm.
on Cloverville Road, for 3 years. My 3rd grade I started out in there. Went to Marquette School first, kindergarten, 1st grade, and 2nd grade. Anyway, I grew up in that farm. When I was 19 years old, or 18 years old, my dad got me a deferment from the service because he wanted me to work on the farm. Well, so I could have went in when I was 18, but I didn't go until I was 19 because him and I had a disagreement, and I said I want to enlisted in the service. He didn't even know about it. I had a deferment, and I canceled it out, so I volunteered my services.
Did you go to school through 12th grade?
Oh yeah.
Okay, and then...
2 years, I went 2 years at the Heights, Muskegon Heights. Ended up going to Urbana. That's where I graduated from Urbana High School.
And what year did you graduate high school?
1944.
1944. So do you remember anything about living with your parents or on the farm during the Depression years?
Oh yeah. Well, Depression was, we lived in town yet. Depression was in. See, Depression started in, I think 29, when they had the when it started. So I was 4 years old when it started. So I remember Franklin Roosevelt being elected to the office in 32. My dad chopped wood for a living, and it was pretty rough. I would come in, sit down on the table in the morning for breakfast. I was the only one eating. My folks would skip breakfast. I wanted to make sure I had enough food to eat. I was the only child, kind of see.
Okay, so you're the oldest.
Yeah. So I was the guinea pig.
Do you think that your parents waited till the Depression was over to have more kids, or did they have your brother and sister?
They had my brother and my sister while I was on the farm. My brother's 8 years younger than I am, my sister 10 years younger than I am.
Okay. Now, when you were in high school, do you remember hearing news about what was going on in Europe?
Oh yeah. I remember when the Japanese, I was in 10th grade when the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor. And they had it on President Roosevelt when he made a speech. We declare war on Japan and Germany. And I remember that speech. It's a day of infamy, he says. Yeah, I remember that very well.
A lot of the boys that you were friends with and you, were you thinking that you might be in the service after school?
Oh yeah. I went right from high school in the service.
Okay. And you said your dad, he had gotten you deferred. And how long were you?
6 months.
6 months. Okay. But you didn't want to be deferred?
At first I did. Then after him and my dad never got along too good. So I got mad at him, and that's why I quit. And that's it.
Okay.
He didn't know what I had done. And had my deferment canceled, I would have been deferred another 6 months, but I had it canceled. Volunteered my services. And they sent me to Detroit for my physical. Passed the physical, came home, told my folks I was going to the service. They were pretty shook up. Anyway, well, I ended up at Fort Sheridan, my first day in the service. That's where I got sworn in. Fort Sheridan.
What city is that in?
Huh?
Where's Fort Sheridan?
It's by Chicago.
Okay. And was that in the Army then?
Oh, yeah.
Did you choose the Army in particular?
Yeah, really I did. I volunteered my services for the Air Force originally.
And that didn't work out?
I was there for 2 weeks. put us on a train, sent us to South Carolina. We thought we were going to an Air Force training camp. We got to the camp, and here it says infantry. And I tell you, a lot of guys just deserted right there. They took off.
Because they needed more
I
men
thought
for
about it,
infantry.
but I didn't.
Okay.
They caught him. But anyway, brought him back. That's where I ended up in infantry camp. It was Camp Croft, South Carolina, they called it.
And did you go there to Louisiana? From there to Louisiana?
Not to Louisiana, South Carolina.
Okay. You said you were in Fort Sheridan. Was that before or?
That was my first one out near Chicago.
Okay.
That's still there, that camp's still there, Fort Sheridan, as far as I know.
And then you went to South Carolina.
Yep.
And you started boot camp training?
Camp Croft.
Okay. What was that like?
Rough.
Yeah?
I still remember the sign says over the entranceway. It says, "Through these portals walks the best trained soldiers in the world."
Mm-hmm.
And, that was pretty interesting. Like I said, a lot of guys deserted and they got caught and got brought back. So I still ended up getting their training.
So what types of things did you do for your training?
Oh boy. First day, they took us out on a course and run. And first day we ran a mile. I think a couple days later we ran 2 miles. And we had to do a lot of exercises first before we did that. And we got up at 5 o'clock in the morning, do your exercises. Then you go to breakfast. You do your exercises first before you go to breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go onto the training field. You never know what's coming at you next. You don't know ahead of time what's coming. Sergeant said, "We're going to do this today, or we're going to do that today," and that's the way it was done. But anyway, I think the first week did mostly exercise stuff. Second week, we started running. You had to run. No equipment on except your clothes. That was kind of interesting. Anyway, me being a farm boy didn't bother me a bit because I'm used to it. You know?
Mm-hmm. Was it really hot? What time of the year was
Oh, it was in, I went in June.
Uh-huh.
June, July, and August, and September. It's 4 months. I was pretty hot weather. And we come in at night, our clothes be hanging right to us. We all had to try to fight to get in the shower first. Anyway, you have some more questions?
So did you train then just for 4 months?
Yeah, for about 4.5 months.
And did you know where you would be going after
I
that?
didn't have the slightest idea.
I mean, was it even so vague that you might even be going to Japan?
I thought I might because some guys were going to Japan. But my group that I trained with, they split us right in half. Half went to Japan and half went to Germany, went to Europe.
And this was in the fall?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
I went across the Atlantic Ocean in October.
in October. And was that on a large ship?
Queen Elizabeth.
Queen Elizabeth. So there was
I had
thousands of
luxury.
other people on
I had
it.
luxury going on that, yeah.
And how was the trip?
Well, I'll tell you a little story on that one. We got a little ways out on the ocean, and I shipped out of New York Harbor. And went by the Statue of Liberty, got out there, and they got a message. It said there's 7 German subs waiting for us. A plane spotted them, one of their spotting planes. So they radioed us and said there's 7 subs waiting for you guys. They'd like to sink that ship, the biggest ship afloat at that time, you know, Queen Elizabeth. Anyway, we had to change course. Ordinarily, we would have been in England in about 3 days, and it wasn't until 5 days, because we had to go around, change our course, down by the coast of Portugal and Spain, and back to England. So you know, that's a lot longer trip that way.
Yeah.
But we only had to land in Scotland. We were supposed to land in Southampton, England. We didn't. We had to land in Scotland. So I got a chance to see part of Scotland. We went on a troop train from there to Southampton, England, the Channel, English Channel. And that was pretty interesting. Had went through the train, ran round and round through the hills. That was real nice. And Then we hit harbor there at Southampton, England. I spent 2 weeks there.
And it was at a different camp? It was an American camp?
Embarkation plant, when I embarked to go across the channel,
Okay.
France.
What was that?
Meantime, the war was already on.
Right,
Front line has already got past Paris. Paris has been liberated already.
okay.
And anyway, we got on LSD. You know what that is? LSD is a landing craft.
Okay.
And we couldn't, ships couldn't go in no port. There was no port left because it blew up during the invasion. Pampa Harbor. And blew to pieces. There were ships in the water yet still half sunk and all that. We had to walk down the debris when we hit the land. And in fact, they had this border go down like that, and the troops come off, you know, in the water. And I thought, hey, I'm not a swimmer.
Mm.
I said, I could drown. I had a pack on my back, my rifle. I had to keep that dry. And so we lowered the ramp, and we had to jump in. Well, I seen the guy jump in, their heads were still out of water. I said, well, I guess I'm all right.
Was it really cold?
Oh, it wasn't too cold because it was, you know, just getting over summer, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I had a chance to cool down too much. Didn't seem to bother me too much. But anyway, my feet hit the ground, I was happy.
Uh-huh.
But we were kicking debris and everything else out of the road from the D-Day station yet. They hadn't cleaned up anything yet. And there was tanks. There was artillery pieces in the water. It's pretty bad. And I remember we had a long trail we had to walk up to, a big old red barn up on the hill. You ever have a red barn? We sleep on the straw that night. Oh, they had straw in there, and we just lay down and slept on the straw. That was our first day. Next day we loaded us on trucks, headed for inland, headed for the front. And we didn't know what we were getting into. And anyway, the front line had already, they just liberated France, they were on the moving on from there. And they were moving pretty fast at that time across France. But anyway, we had the Germans in full retreat. And we hit this town of Metz. My
Okay.
first battle, I was at the Battle of Metz.
Uh-huh.
It's a fort city and walls around it. From an old time city. Our tanks knocked the walls down in Metz. Right on through it. Had to go house to house. That's where my first experience of having a combat, because when I got in that house, first house, I told my buddy, I said, there's somebody upstairs, I heard a noise up there.
Mm-hmm.
We had to go house to house and drive the Germans out.
Were most of the houses deserted? There's no locals there?
There was nobody in the house.
Okay.
And we had to go through the house and make sure the Germans were in there.
Mm-hmm.
But I heard this noise. So I said, I'm going to go upstairs. Upstairs, and you follow me. Buddy followed me. And the door was shut, one room. The rest of the rooms were all open. I said, there's somebody in that room. I said, I'm going in that room. Cover me, I told my buddy to cover me. I went in the room, the German was in there. As soon as he saw me, he threw a hand grenade at me. And he went out the window. The hand grenade went over the corner across the floor. I can still see the hand grenade come across the floor at me. My buddy grabbed me by the arm, jerked me back, I slammed the door shut, and it didn't go off. It was a dud.
Oh, did
See?
you then go chase after him?
No, because the guys outside got him.
Oh, okay.
My buddies outside got him. They had the house surrounded. But anyway, what happens, a lot of the Germans' ammunition was bad because they were having foreigners work on it.
Oh,
They would leave fuses out, they'd leave the powder out. So a lot of stuff with ammunition. I had a big shell come down by my foxhole, never went off.
so they were doing it on purpose? Sabotaging
They were
the...
sabotaging ammunition. A lot of Germans had ammunition all over the ground, any place you went. German ammunition wasn't going off.
Huh.
It was duds.
Yeah.
And so that really hurt them. In fact, a lot of their bombs had dropped were duds. Didn't go off. I've seen quite a few of them. Anyway, we moved on from there.
Did you take a lot of prisoners then in that city? that town?
Yeah, there was some prisoners taken. I didn't take any. I know a lot of my guys took a lot of them were prisoners. In fact, the guy that threw a hand grenade at me, he got taken prisoner.
Mm-hmm.
He hit the ground and jumped out the window, hit the ground. And 3 American soldiers were waiting for him. So they were our chance. Anyway, from there, we moved down into Belgium. And, in fact, I'll tell you another story. It's kind of interesting. When I first hit the front lines, this is before that. I can bring it to you. Told my buddy, I said, I'm not mad at anybody. I'm going to shoot a man. I never shot a man in my life, you know. And he just laughed at me and said, yeah, he said, pretty soon you still change your attitude. Pretty soon Germans opened up on us, and I seen a couple of my buddies get hit. And I said, okay, let me at him.
Mm-hmm.
That's how quick your mind changes. Your buddy gets shot, you know. Anyway, we went on into Belgium, hit the Siegfried line, and got into Germany. And the Battle of Bulge broke out. We were down the southern part of Belgium, across the German line. And, anyway, Germans came, and we had to travel 35 miles in one night. 101st Airborne was trapped in the city of Bastogne. You'll probably hear about that. And we had to go free them. I was in the 80th Division, 3rd Army, under General Patton.
Mm-hmm.
Probably heard of him.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, well, we had to ride tanks, trucks, everything else, walked 35 miles one night. Bastogne. And we got there, Germans opened up on us, and we was on this hill and we got trapped. There's 200 of us on a hill, trapped. Germans all around us, just outside of Bastogne. If I had a map here, I could show you where that was at. You probably got maps here, haven't you?
I don't have it on me, no.
I got someone who wants to bring one, and they forgot about it.
It's okay.
Anyway, they trapped us. I was on that hill for 5 days.
How many of you do you think were trapped on that hill?
About 200 of us.
Okay. You surrounded
My
by
outfit, yeah.
2 days?
Well, we were trapped there 5 days.
5 days.
And anyway, while we got trapped, our tanks ran out of gas.
Oh.
The German tanks ran out of gas. Nobody had any gas.
Hmm.
We were on this hill and we could see the German tanks at the bottom of the hill. We couldn't figure out why they weren't coming after us. The big German Tiger tanks, they were huge. And we couldn't figure out why in the world aren't those tanks coming after us, you know. They tried to send their infantry up and we cut loose. I had a machine gun. And we cut loose our machine gun and they backed off. Anyway, funny part was, 5th day, a lot of my buddies were killed there, a lot of them were wounded. I had 5 guys patched up around me who were still able to fight. A lot of them had shoulder wounds, some had arm and leg wounds. But anyway, trying to get my story straight right now. Anyway, the guys were getting pretty desperate because our food was getting low. Didn't have any food left at all. I had one little chocolate bar, what they call it a D-bar, hard chocolate.
Okay.
I had that much left of it. And we got free, but anyway, I think I had about that much water left in my canteen. And that morning, 5th day, we heard a noise behind us. A big wood behind us. They call the Ardennes Forest.
Mm-hmm.
Ardennes Forest is in Belgium. It runs into the Black Forest, which is in Germany.
Mm-hmm.
It runs together. Anyway, well, they heard these tanks and guys, oh, there's the Germans are coming after us. I looked over toward the woods. And here comes this tank guy, down on the side of it. This Patton's coming to free us. That was the other day, boy, we were really happy with that one.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, they come in, they threw loaves of bread. The guys, the tanks threw bread at us. I took, I think, about 2 bites, and that's 4 already. But your stomach shrink up.
Yeah.
And you couldn't keep nothing down. You ate too much, you'd throw it up. So, tell you, it took me about 4 or 5 days to get my appetite back to where it should be. I was already eating a lot of food, you know. That's pretty scary. Anyway, we got freed there. We went on into Germany.
What time of the year was this when you're stuck on that hill?
It's in December.
December, so it's pretty
It
cold
was when
too.
it started.
Mhm.
Started 25th of January, December, Christmas Day in the foxhole, naturally. And in fact, somebody hollered, "Merry Christmas!" "Merry Christmas!" Where you at? Anyway, that was Christmas of '44.
Okay.
Anyway, well, we got our outfits. Yeah, our outfits were all divided up because I was fighting with 101st Airborne guys and some of my other guys in other divisions. There were several divisions in there. It was all mixed up. In fact, I got hit by a mortar shell. Knocked out. My commander didn't know where I was at, but they sent me on back to England on a hospital ship.
Mm-hmm.
My buddy with me got killed. Same shell killed him. And, I had some shrapnel in me. They dug that out in the medic tent. It's my back. I came to back in the medic tent.
In England?
No, in Belgium.
Okay.
So they haul you off the field, put me off the field in a jeep. And they seen a wound. They thought the first aid guy that saw us get hit. He thought we were both dead because we weren't moving. He seen me move my legs, so he checked me out. He said, "This guy's still alive." So put me top of the jeep, went back to the first aid tent. Figured that's the guy who saved my life. If I'd have stayed there, that probably finished me off. But anyway, well, the Germans were on the run then. We had them on the run. More soldiers were coming in from different directions. A whole bunch of divisions came together to save Bastogne because Bastogne was surrounded with Germans, and the 101st Airborne Division was in there.
Mm-hmm.
You probably heard about that, read about it. And that was probably about 1 mile out from Bastogne. That's where we lived on the hill. Anyway, they put me on a stretcher and put me down this first aid train. I prayed to open my eyes. I started to come to and I prayed to open my eyes. I said, "The Germans got me or the Americans got me?" Then I just hear him talking English. I said, "It must be the American." Open my eyes. The captain was the doctor. He said, looking over me. He said, "You'll be all right." He said, "You're going to make it." He said, "We already dug some shrapnel out of you." He said, "Wow." And anyway, well, he says, "In about 24 hours, you'll be able to feel yourself." He says, your body is numb from being hit. I couldn't feel. I looked at my hands. I looked at my feet. Couldn't feel them.
But you weren't in any pain?
Well, I was too numb to be in any pain. Later on, I got the pain. Yeah.
Okay.
After I started coming out. But anyway, I don't know if you want to see this. Pretty old.
So then did you have to go back to Germany after that?
Oh, yeah. I served quite a bit of time after that. They sent me back. They sent me back to England.
What is this? Okay.
They sent me back to Europe, back to France. And the first job I had was guarding prisoners, German shredded prisoners. The war ended while I was in the hospital. So everything was clear and free and clear.
So you're guarding German prisoners in France?
Yep.
And what city was that in?
Well, in Liège,
Mm-hmm.
also in a couple other rural towns. I can't remember their names now. Then there were big freight cars come in with oranges, sugar, flour for the men, you know. And we had to unload these boxcars and put them in trucks and take them to where they're supposed to go, you know. And I had about, well, me and another guy, we had some French soldiers working with us. And the French soldiers, they like to be mean to them because they were trying to really avenge, you know. they were mean to the Germans were mean to them, so they would retaliate, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You know. We had to watch them real careful, but they'd be pretty rough with the prisoners. And I had my experience there with a big German guy. And, well, we had those SS troopers we fight against. Hitler's top people, you know.
Mm-hmm.
They all had to be an SS trooper, you had to be at least 6 foot tall. And close to 200 pounds.
Uh-huh.
They were big people. And then when this guy disappeared on me, and he was a big husky guy, he must have been close to 250. And he disappeared on me. And I thought, my buddy says, I think there's somebody missing. I said, I'm going to go find him. Well, I went in the warehouse and I had these orange crates piled up high. And so I had this ladder, and I took the ladder and put it up there and went up on top. I found him. He dug himself a little hole in the orange crates. He moved them around, you know. He was down there and he was sitting there eating oranges. So I came up on him. I had my rifle on him. I said, okay, come on out of there. He looked up, his eyes got that big around. Thought I was going to shoot him on the spy, I think. Anyway, he knew I was pretty angry.
Yeah. Did you have any other problems, though, with prisoners just being really hard to work with?
Oh, yeah. Well, you know, most of the Germans speak English.
Uh-huh.
Pretty highly educated, especially SS troopers, they could speak English. They didn't want us to know they could speak English.
Mm-hmm.
So they keep their mouth shut, see. But they could understand everything he said, told them. This guy here, he rattled off German to me. I know you can speak English. He said, don't give me that bump. I said, speak English. You're saying. They start talking then.
So you were working with French soldiers there as well.
Oh, yeah.
They didn't like the Germans, but how did you get along with the French soldiers?
French soldiers were very obedient to us.
Okay.
I was in charge of them, so they had to be obedient, you know. They were reporting to my commander, and then they'd be displaced. But anyway, what's funny about it, the French, they wanted to beat me. They wanted, this guy, they wanted me to go after this guy. I said, no, he's mine, I'm taking care of him. They wanted to really work him over. They wanted to do it, and I said, oh no, you're not going to do that. It's just the armistice. You know. Anyway, I spent a little while there, then they shipped me out to a cemetery in Belgium by the name of Voss, Voss, Belgium. You see it on a map, Voss. And that's the cemetery where a lot of my buddies were buried. There's 5 of us sent there to take care of the cemetery. They're bringing in bodies all the time, you know. In fact, I got pictures at home I should have showed you. That cemetery, bringing bodies. But anyway.
It must have been hard doing that work.
The what?
Doing working there, was that hard on you?
It was hard on me because I knew my buddies were being buried. A lot of them that I went through training with. And I could go out and see their name on the cross. I said, that's my buddy there, that's my buddy there. And pick them all, you know. Then the parents would come over to see where their boys were buried. I'd have to show them where their boys were buried. That was hard. A lot of them, their bodies got dug up and brought back to America.
Yeah.
So that's natural. So I had to show them what I'm doing. I had to get the prisoners, and we had a German prisoners do that for them. Pick them up. It was their job to dig the prisoners up. Anyway, the spy was there, and they come out the first day I was there, and they says, any of you guys type? I raised my hand. I had typed in high school. I was the only one in 5 that could type. So I got the job in the office. They had a little office out there. And I'd take care of all the records. Each guy in the cemetery had a little card. Their name, address, where they lived, who their parents were. They put all that down on one card. But it was free. It's a nice place, nice cemetery, nice town. It was in the summertime. I really enjoyed that. But then fall came. They decided to take all 5 of us off of there for another group.
Okay.
So they transferred me to another cemetery in Holland.
Okay.
And that's another country that people really were nice to us. The Hollanders were. And, anyway, but the name of a little town by the name of Zahn, outside of Eindhoven. And I had a family in Eindhoven that took me in. stayed there. They were a man and a woman and two little children, a boy and a girl. They treated me real good. Had my own little room upstairs. And that's where I stayed while I was in Holland. And, had a pretty good place there, but you know, in the Hollanders who celebrate Christmas, they celebrate for 2 weeks straight. They do. They don't. Nobody works 2 days, 2 weeks straight. And that was enjoyable. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
They danced in the streets. They really have a good time at Christmas time. They go all out.
So how long were you in Holland for?
I'd say about 2 months, like that. But anyway, I was great about it. After that, I had to get a job that sent me back to a little town in Amiens, France.
In France?
Dirty town.
Okay.
Dirty town. I hated that there. And I had to deliver mail. And I delivered mail. Probably, I don't think it was even 1 month. It was in February. And went out one day in an open Jeep. And I had a guy drove me. I took care of the mail. Anyway, we had this open Jeep and it was sleeting, it was snowing, it was raining. We all got soaked to the bone. Came back and I caught a cold. I really got sick. Second day, I got up in the morning, I can't go do that today. I said, I just feel out. So I went to first aid. Doctor said, you're going to the hospital, you got pneumonia. So I just went down to a little town, they sent me down to a little town in Charleroi.
Okay.
Charleroi, I'll show you the map of that side. And then I spent probably about 5 weeks, I'd say, in the hospital.
Wow.
Pneumonia. While I was in that hospital, the war ended. And the war was already ended, but what I'm saying, my time came to go home, discharge. And we had points we went by. I had 40 points. And my 40 points was up. I ready to go back to the United States. So I was pretty anxious to get out of that hospital. I knew my points were up.
Yeah. Was the hospital, was it a nice hospital? Do you think
Beautiful hospital,
okay.
Army hospital. The nurses were great. I had a little Spanish nurse sat right by my side. I had a temperature of 105.
Wow.
I almost died right there. My lungs had pretty bad shape.
Didn't I read in here too that you got frostbite at one point?
Oh yeah, I froze my feet.
Was that when you were in France or was that in another
I had the
area?
Battle of Bulge.
Okay.
My feet were frozen when they took me out. I didn't know it.
Yeah.
They got me in the hospital. Found out my feet were frozen. Nurse says, your toes are black. I sent the doctor and checked, and the doctor says, he was a captain, he says, when I take those toes off, oh man, that's scared the daylights out of me. And so I don't know, I was going to take his word for it, so I seen a colonel. I asked the colonel and the doctor, he says, Captain so-and-so wants to take my toes off. My feet are frozen. Oh, he's never going to do that right away. I brought a blue liquid in every morning for me to set my feet in, soak them. Soak for an hour. Liquid that happened about 5 days in a row I had that. To do that. And they did it about every 2 hours. In the middle of the night they wake you up and they just soak your feet. So they get my sleep.
But it worked.
It worked.
And
That was
now,
the fifth day I think it was. I was doing that. Nurse came in every morning, pricked my toes with a needle. Fifth day I jerked my foot. You felt that, didn't you? I said, yeah, you were going to save your toes. Yippee!
are they different now? Like a different color or you can't even tell?
I can't take any cold on my feet.
Oh, very
I wear
sensitive?
insulated boots in the wintertime. Bad when I go into place, walking in place.
Now, when you were in, I think it was Belgium and France and Holland, were you ever at one point worried that you might be sent to Japan?
Oh yeah, my outfit was scheduled to go to Japan. Just before the war ended.
Would you have
Japan.
preferred to just stay in Europe?
Oh yeah, we were told we were going to be going to Japan. Yeah. But anyway, the war ended, as you know, with the atomic bomb.
And that was you were in France at that time?
Yeah.
So what all countries in Europe did you get to travel to?
Well, I started out Started out, I landed in Scotland,
Mhm.
England, back to France, Belgium, Luxembourg, Czechoslovakia. I got the Czechoslovakia border. I don't really count that. I also had a pass at the war ended in Switzerland. I visited Switzerland for a few days.
Mhm.
It was 3 days, I think I was in Switzerland. And I got a funny incident that happened to me there. This train was around a mountain, it was up in a high mountain, you know, and it goes round and around like that.
Mhm.
Put me on this train, me and my buddy got on this train. We went up this mountain, looked out the window, you could look out the window, you couldn't see the ground.
Mhm.
We were up on a ledge all the way around that mountain. They chopped it out, you know, and we heard that one train went over that ledge and never did find the people. You can imagine that? They told us that after we got on the train. Whoa!
That'd be pretty scary.
That was scary, really scary.
So out of all the countries you traveled to, which one did you like the best?
I really like Belgium. I like Holland pretty good too. Germany's a pretty country too.
Yeah. Which people did you like the best to get along with?
I think I like the Belgian people best.
Uh-huh.
I know Holland people treated me pretty good too. Yeah, people, the family that I lived with in Holland, they were great people. I still have pictures at home. Yeah.
So when you were in the hospital then and you got your 40 points, what month was that?
In the hospital?
Yeah, and you found out that you were going to be going home?
Well, I got wounded in, I think it was the 16th of January.
Okay.
That was all right in there. And so I was in a hospital, I'd say about 2.5 months.
It's a long time.
Until I got out. Yeah, yeah.
And
Well, my body had to recuperate, or what they call it.
uh-huh. How did you travel back to the United States?
And that's another experience.
Okay.
He put me on a little Liberty ship
Uh-huh.
out of Havre, France.
Uh-huh.
And these Liberty ships are made just especially for carrying troops. They weren't very good. Well, they were made to hold troops, and that's all they were made for. Anyway, on the way back, we hit a hurricane. Can you imagine a little Liberty ship tossed around, just like a matchstick on the ocean? We were out in the middle of the ocean. Those waves were getting pretty big. We were all told to go down underneath. She's heard this before. So we went down underneath the ship at the bottom. And I looked up and seen a porthole wasn't locked down. I told my buddy, let's go up and take a look at see what that ocean looks like out there, you know. So we goes up there, opened the porthole, and went up on top. We were leaning back against the rail of the ship, watching the waves and whatever you were rolling, you know. All of a sudden, I looked over my shoulder, here from the waves right over the top of the ship. Knocked us both off our feet. My buddy grabbed the anchor rope out in the middle of the deck, and I went around by him. I was on the other side of the ship. I seen a rail coming at me. I reached up and grabbed that rail. My feet were hanging out over the ship. Talking about scary.
How long did that type of weather last?
I think that was the middle of the afternoon, probably 2 o'clock in the afternoon. By 6 o'clock it was gone, but the waves were still blowing most of the night, next night. But they were getting lower all the time.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I tell you, the ocean's a funny place. You get out there when there's no wind or nothing like that, just as smooth as silk. Real nice out there.
Mm-hmm.
You see swells like that, but when that wind starts kicking up, those waves, they get huge. They say Lake Michigan gets pretty bad and rough, but you know that waves like the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
The waves go on top of the ship. They go right on top of it.
How long did that trip take?
I think, well, I left Lahar, I think about 4 days, I think that's in New York City.
Okay. New York
First
City.
thing you see when you come to New York City is Statue of Liberty.
Mm-hmm.
You see that, you know you're home.
Did you have to go to different areas to be
I-
processed in order
I
to...
was processed in Fort Dix, New Jersey.
Okay.
Then I got on a train, they sent me to Camp Atterbury, Indiana. That's where I got discharged.
Okay. Did you come right back to Michigan then?
Oh yeah, I traveled on a train from Camp Atterbury to South Bend, Indiana. And I I got on a bus in South Bend. It was at night, and arrived in Grand Rapids. Couldn't get a bus out there until we were in the middle of the night, and I couldn't get a bus out there until about 7 o'clock in the morning to get to Muskegon. I drove from there on the bus from Muskegon after 7 o'clock. In fact, I slept on a what do they call it? Anyway, a place where you sit. I just curled up in a corner and one of these sheets. Slept a little bit. I had all my stuff with me in my bag, and I put that on my head and slept on it as a pillow. And for the rest of the night till time to go in the morning at 7 o'clock. I had a couple other guys with me, you know, went on the same bus. They all come to Muskegon too. So. Anyway, when I got home, I grabbed a cab, and my folks were out to the farm. I drove up the farm. They didn't know I was coming home that day. I went to surprise them. So, first to greet me was my dog. He saw me coming up the driveway. I've been gone for about 2 years, so I didn't know if he'd remember me or not. He did.
That's good.
He was excited. Yeah, that's when I got home. Parents were surprised. They couldn't believe it.
So when you got back, did you decide that you wanted to take some time off or start working right away?
No, I didn't want to work. I had time coming, unemployment.
Mm-hmm.
You get $300 discharge. You give me $300, you get discharged.
Mm-hmm.
And then I tells you right here that. Anyway, then you go down and sign up for unemployment. You get so much a week. I forget how much it was. Not a lot. But nothing to live on about it. Of course, I lived with my parents. But I moved out shortly after that.
Where did you move to?
Huh?
Where did you move to?
I went down to town, got an apartment downtown,
Mm-hmm.
Muskegon. And then I got a job at Norge, making refrigerators. I should say loading refrigerators. I lasted about 2 weeks. I got a boss, you know, it's kind of, I had to work in a coal warehouse as a January. Coal, all man, coal. No heat in the warehouse. And I had one little lunchroom. You'd get one little lunchroom where you get some heat. And we'd stop and go in there, and he'd chase us out. The boss would. You gotta get that truckload, you know. Told the guys, and a couple other guys working with me. I says, next time he tells me that I gotta get out there and work, I'm going to quit. I had it with him. I said, I took all that kind of stuff in the service. I don't have to take it now. Anyway, you get pretty beat down in the service, so you got to do as you're told all the time, you know. And we were about ready to take that from some civilian.
Yeah.
So, come in the third time, chase us out. I says, you can load the truck yourself. I'm leaving. I said, I'm quitting. You can't do that. I says, watch me. Not only me, but the other two guys decided to quit too.
Yeah.
So all three of us quit. We were on that truck, so I tried to get we got a truckload. I don't know if I got fired for it. But I took a couple weeks off, looking out for a job. I had an offer from a telephone company. They wanted me working at all working with blueprints, and that didn't sound good to me at all. I turned that job down. Then I went down the road a little ways to Dresser Industries. It was Schwabach Train at the time, and built trains, you know. Hired in there, and I spent 45 years in that place.
What year did you retire?
90. Retired
1990.
in 90.
So in your spare time, do you get yourself involved in any veterans organizations or go to reunions?
Well, I belong to the DA here in Grand Rapids.
Mm-hmm.
Go there, medical. Yeah. I never have joined the Veterans of Foreign Wars.
Mm-hmm.
I've had offers to, I never have. I associate with a lot of them. I bowl. What?
You get a newsletter from your
Oh yeah, I get my
division.
newsletter from my division. It's my division was out of Pennsylvania. They were Pennsylvania National Guard, 80th Division. And I get letters from them all the time. They have conventions once a year. But we're losing a lot of people. World War II veterans are going away. I'm 83 years old.
Mhm.
So, living on borrowed time.
Do you have any other stories that you remember that stick out that you wanted to talk about?
Stories that I probably could tell you about, you probably want to hear them. I stayed with this one family in Holland, which I really enjoyed. And I had to still have that address. And I wrote them one time. I never got an answer back, so I don't know if they died or what the deal was.
Oh.
It's hard to say. But they were nice people. We got a picture of them. She's seen it. Daughter's seen all that stuff.
Okay,
That's about
I
it.
think we're good then.